Hi, today we have Lisa de Varones. She's a former executive of Pfizer, a marketing expert directly for TechEd TV from London, England. Watch next. You're watching TechEd TV. We welcome to that today. We welcome Liz Varones. That's where you pronounce your name?
Yes.
So Liz is our entrepreneur guest. She's an expert. She comes from Pfizer. She runs a company called Anthos Consulting Group. Is that the name of your company?
Yes.
She was a brand director for Pfizer in Europe and I think in the United States as well, right?
Exactly.
So welcome to the show, Liz. And so tell us about your company. Is Anthos Consulting?
Yes, absolutely. So thank you, first of all, for having me. So Anthos is an approach to help unlock the true essence behind brands and people.
Okay.
So on the brand side, more and more we're finding that people are drawn to authenticity. Good brands are able to establish an emotional connection with people, and they often don't know why they're drawn to a brand and they are loyal to it. But there's usually something that's invisible. That isn't by chance. Usually good brands actually really focus and they're deliberate with their brand identity and being true to it at any chance they have. So the approach that we take is to try to help companies get to that point, and make sure that they sort of have all those invisible bits sorted, like their core values and what their offerings are, and making sure that those things are aligned.
So you basically create the face of the company in the messaging and the whole package that represents a particular brand.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think it all starts with the core of what the brand is, why it exists. And then from that, the visual identity comes, the messaging and all the things that the consumer would see or the client would see is also part of it.
So Anthos Consulting is a one-stop shop, I assume, where I can come with as a startup with an idea, and I have this potential branding, and you're like, okay, you have this concept, this idea, this is how you package it for the consumer. So your logos, your color, your vision, everything fits in a good brand, correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I have a network of people that help with that. So it wouldn't be me executing, or there's a team that would help bring those things to life.
But coming back to the team, you come from corporate America. You have a few years at Pfizer, and where you were one of their key persons there. Tell us about your experience with Pfizer.
Yeah, so it was a really rich and rewarding career. I was there 15 years. Started in sales, and I did quite a bit of marketing in the US and in Europe. And I would say that it was a good experience because I learned how to be a marketer in a really difficult environment. Difficult from a regulatory standpoint because you can't just put up any messaging you want. You're really constrained to the label of the product. And then on top of it, all of your messages need to be approved by legal, regulatory, and medical. So I had to learn how to navigate a difficult environment that often took time, and tried to really think of innovative ways to get the business going, and to reach new customers.
Wow. So Pfizer is right now in the news. I don't know if you saw this morning, a couple of $1 billion. So I assume that the branding that you have created for Pfizer, as opposed to other competitors, has been a decisive role besides the quality of the product, besides how, I mean, because scientists create science and technology and pharmaceuticals, but I think people like you are the ones that are actually create the value. How is that product going to be perceived by the consumer? So what do you think about this nice check that a part of the U.S. government is going to be sending to Pfizer?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great for Pfizer. And I think what people don't see are all the hurdles that they had to overcome to get to that point. Just because to get a new product to market takes a very, very long time. So what they were able to do is mobilize internally, get everybody on the same page. It's a huge company. So it was really an amazing feat that they were able to get that product out, tested, fast-tracked in that manner. So yeah, I think the first thing, and probably why Pfizer is so successful, is the quality's first. The scientists are the heart of the company. They're creating life-saving products and vaccines. So that's really the first thing. But then the next part of it is making sure people know what it is and they know what the benefits are, being able to communicate that clearly.
And one thing is important now that we can say with this COVID-19, like of course, Pfizer is one of these corporations saving people. How about the startups that are like facing these challenges? What do you recommend them in terms of branding and then your experience? What would be your advice to them?
Yeah, so this has been a very interesting time in marketing. I think we saw probably the best and the worst in companies during this time. We saw the best because in a lot of cases, companies really brought out the humanity. And they proactively reached out to people saying, we know this is a difficult time. We're going to suspend memberships. We're not going to charge you fees. We're going to make returns easier. A lot of them did really think about the environment because it's not just about the product itself, but it's about what comes with it. So I think we saw a lot of companies shine in that way. We saw a lot of companies try to take advantage of it as well, I'm sure, and be opportunistic. And what we're living in right now is a time where consumers have more knowledge and power and also skepticism. And I don't think we can afford to sort of be sly anymore. I think that people are demanding more authenticity from companies and more transparency.
Oh, that's a great. So you would recommend to entrepreneurs that are facing challenges to be transparent, to
Yes.
be conscious about people's needs and try to, in a way, to be more human.
Absolutely. I'd say that's the first thing is if crisis hits of that magnitude, or if it's a little crisis, it's really thinking about what is that customer going through? What environmental challenges are they facing? And how can I make that easier? I'd say you can't go wrong with human first.
But that's a good, interesting, like segue to the following question, which is basically you are an expert, obviously, in this particular area. So how can our entrepreneurs that are watching you today can read you, and how can you help them?
Yeah, absolutely. Email is probably the easiest way, and we can provide that.
Okay.
I would say how I would help is to really get a core understanding of what it is that you're offering, what that gap is going to be, which undoubtedly is there. But it's going a little bit deeper on what is that value system, what is that value offering, and making sure that what you write is true. Because right now we live in a time where everybody wants to be innovative. Everybody wants to have the same set of qualities as some of those companies we idolize, but that might not be the company. And so it's really taking a hard look at who's in this organization as well. And when everyone comes together, what does that mean? And so it's really thinking about that first and getting that. The first thing I would do is really do research and interviews, but we would come up with a core narrative, a brand narrative about what the product or the company does, why they exist, the tone, the personality, just sort of get all of that clear. And then we would think about, okay, what does that look like as a message? What does it look like as a visual representation? A lot of people start visual first because it's fun and it's like an exciting part, but that's not the way to start. It's really, who are you? And then we think about, okay, what does it look like?
Especially for technology entrepreneurs that we have here in our area here. So we have a few people that are building, for example, we have a gentleman, he's launching a mask for COVID-19. And they are spending quite a lot of hours for an Indiegogo campaign. But at the same time, I think there's one like more of a product that fits the need right now, let's say, because he has Bluetooth, has a couple of other features that are very interesting. But we have other entrepreneurs that are facing a big challenge. For example, we have an entrepreneur that has a company that does ticketings. So tickets right now have been hit by, there's no event. So it's like everything is canceled, so he cannot sell his product, right? So in a way, like, so you will do an analysis from the core of this startup, figure out the messaging behind it, you will peel the onion basically, find core, and then we'll just wrap it around a nice images, nice messaging, nice logo, colors, whatever is required to make sure this company is fundable, number one, and number two, like matches the core values with messaging.
Exactly, exactly. And the other element to help with, and I would say the next phase is once you're very clear on who you are and what that means, if you have a business offering, and then you think about what is it that I offer, does that match? Or do I need to expand? Or do I need to change course? But also helping you figure out what does that look like? If we want to integrate a new service, if we want to integrate a new product line, how do we operationalize that? How do we make that come to life? Even if you've never done it before. Most of the projects I did at Pfizer, at the end were things we never did before. So it's really, and I was very comfortable navigating sort of that unknown, ambiguous area. And I think that's pertinent for startups because most of them are completely operating in ambiguity and trying to grow something from scratch.
And how about your journey as an entrepreneur right now, running your own company, coming from corporate America? What would you recommend to the ladies that are watching this show right now? Obviously, we don't have that many diverse. I wish we had more women coming here and building business. I only have one girl that she has a product on fitness and basically dieting. But I think she's been hit as well for COVID-19 because she was kind of excited about it. That's the only person out of maybe 20 people that are around this ecosystem, and you know Christy as well. But she's not exactly like part of the ecosystem in big time. But what would you recommend to the ladies so they can see you and say, okay, let's do it too? It's like it's challenging, but what would be your recommendation? Those words for them.
Yeah, so I would say it's really being sure in yourself first of what it is you want and why you're doing it. If you have a feeling you want to start up a business, it's really spending enough time to figure out what that is and why you want to do it. I think women tend to ask a lot of people for advice or check with friends and ask, and you know, get a lot of opinions and maybe are potentially swayed by people and what they say. And I notice a lot of women also are suffering from the shoulds, like, oh, maybe I should do this, or I shouldn't do that, or maybe I should just be happy where I am. And that kind of, you know, that word doesn't help because it doesn't get you to what you want. So I'd say really spending the time and or selecting people that know you very well that can give you an answer for you, not what they would do. Right. And being sure in why you're doing it, and being honest about, okay, if I want to do this, but I'm scared, that's a different thing. Then I'm not sure I want to do it.
I've seen that pattern actually with the lady I mentioned and before. She changed the logo 3 times, for example.
Yeah.
She was very, I had to motivate her a lot to write. And then she was scared, I cannot write. It's like, look, she has a notebook with like maybe 100 pages with her notes. Oh, it's like, look, you have content there. You just need to organize it. If you don't want to organize it, the people in Pakistan and India, they can do the work for very small amount of money, and you may have a book. And effectively, now she's working on her book. She's working on a book. She's writing the book. She sent me the cover. I'm very excited for her. And then, although she's kind of is in the slower pace, I just wanted to have this message shared with her and other females like that, my sisters, for example, so they feel motivated to jump and jump into this startup entrepreneurship bandwagon, which is very rewarding, but it's not easy.
Absolutely. I think it tests us on every single level. And so the other side that I mentioned of Anthos is, you know, uncovering the essence of brands, but also people. Okay. So I'm doing coaching, professional coaching. And that's really to help unlock those barriers that people often have to say, I have this goal, I want to advance in this way, in this direction, I want to grow this part of the business, but often we get in our own way to those things. So coaching is another option to really understand what those things are and really empower the person to be able to take those steps.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you very much, Liz. I don't want to take more of your time. I think we're going to place the links that you're going to provide us with your email and contact information.
Yes.
So she is in Europe, for those who don't know, and I mean, you don't have any issues with the schedule, right? You can adapt to the Eastern time. It's only like 4 hours difference, right? So it's
5 hours about, yeah, it's not bad.
It's not bad. All right, Liz. Thank you very much for joining. Take care.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Okay. Thanks.
Bye-bye.